All right, here we go. Divisional round, X's and Hoges, Bears and Rams, Soldier Field. Going to be a lot of fun. Let's dive right in. 5:30 Sunday night on NBC. Kickoff after sunset. Going to be nice and cold for the Rams coming in from LA. They are still favored by 3.5 points, though. Coming off their 34-31 victory at Carolina last week certainly was not easy. We're going to dive into some of those reasons. Of course, their head coach is Sean McVay. Some chatter about how he's close and good friends with Matt LaFleur. Well, yeah, Matt LaFleur's brother is Mike LaFleur, their offensive coordinator. So, yeah, if there's any carryover and all that, I don't really buy into it too much. But, yeah, I'm sure Mike LaFleur would like to go get a little bit of revenge for his brother this week. Chris Shula is their defensive coordinator. He's getting interviewed for a lot of head coaching jobs, so he's got that going on this week. And then interesting special team situation. You almost never see this. A coordinator on a good team let go so late in the year. They now have Ben Kotwicka. I hope I'm saying that right. Their interim special teams coordinator. Special teams has been a mess for the Rams this year. It's been a little bit better since they made the switch, but they did give up a block punt last week. Harrison Mevis is their kicker. They call him the thicker kicker, and I'm mentioning him because that really is his nickname, out of Missouri. He's actually been pretty good lately and was good in windy conditions last week against Carolina. So we know that's going to be a factor with the wind on Sunday night. Who handles it better? It's going to be tough for Mevis coming in from LA, but he has been decent. He has been handling it. Of course, Cairo Santos, we know, has been handling it very well. We look at the EPA per play matchup, and the Rams are good. Obviously, they're fifth defensively, although that's slipped a lot lately. So that's on the course of the whole season. They're probably not quite as good as fifth right now. Offensively, we know they're really good across the board. They're third. Bears offense, eighth, top 10 offense. And we know there's still room for improvement there. And then the Bears D, still hanging on. They're still hanging on, and they look pretty good in the fourth quarter, but they are ranked 20th right now overall. The offensive similarities here are super interesting to me, so I want to go through a few things. The amount of under center both of these offenses use, the Rams do it more than anybody. They rank first. Bears are fifth most under center. Play action, Rams number 1, Bears number 2. 13 personnel, Rams do it more than anybody. The Bears have done a lot of 13 personnel this year. They do it the 5th most. However, I want to bring this up because as much as the Bears have run 3 tight end sets this year, the Rams do it on 30% of their plays. The Bears all the way down at 8%. The Rams have done it 237 more times than the Bears have this year, running 3 tight ends. So as much as the Bears do it, the Rams are a different stratosphere with it with Sean McVay, and we definitely need to talk about that. And then in terms of motion usage, again, the Rams do a ton of it. They rank 4th. The Bears like their motion too, but they're actually 12th. Let's get into more of the offense versus defenses on both sides. We'll talk Bears offense first. Obviously, we got to talk about the new left tackle this week. Ozzie Trapillo goes out with that patellar tendon injury last week, expecting it to be Theo Benedict. However, Braxton Jones is healthy again. He's played a lot of football at a high level. If Theo goes in, the run game could actually get a little bit of a boost, and then you wonder if there's any issues in pass protection, and obviously that is a concern with Jared versus Byron Young. This defense for the Rams is very gettable in the back half. However, up front, they're very, very good. So another thing I want to talk about, 84 or 85, Cole Kmet or Colston Loveland. This is the first week I've actually put Colston Loveland on here with the starters over Cole because he's earned that, and the snaps now reflect that. Colston Loveland is pretty much their true number 1 tight end. However, Ben Johnson likes to isolate his tight ends from time to time against defensive ends, see if they can block one-on-one. Cole Kmet's done a really good job of that this year. Colston Loveland, boy, he can block his ass off too, but he's still a rookie, and there were times last week where he was one-on-one against an end, and it was a little bit dicey. So I am wondering, with this new left tackle situation, are they going to leave Colston Loveland on an island? Are they going to use Cole Kmet maybe a tick more this week for blocking purposes? Just something to keep an eye on. And then the health of Rome Odunze. He was back last week. He had that great catch on 4th and 8. However, if you really watch the film, you can see he's still not quite himself. Still not quite running as fast. Still not quite in and out of his breaks the same way as he was earlier in the season. So how much they can get out of Rome Odunze, and then how much can they get Luther Burden going? They need DJ Moore to continue to step up. He's technically still dealing with a knee injury. So all things to watch here on the offense, going up against a very good Rams front, but you know Ben Johnson's going to have a plan for explosives, and the Rams will give those up. On the other side, the Rams offense, Matthew Stafford, possibly MVP, of course. Puka Nacua, number 12. He's going to get his catches. He's going to get his targets. Devontae Adams, they combined for 31 targets last week, guys. You just know the ball's going to go in those directions. High volume. How did the Bears secondary handle this? Of course, you got Jaylon Johnson. I thought he looked better as the game went along. Kyler Gordon, he looked better as the game went along. And don't forget, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, full go on the injury report yesterday after missing last week's game with a concussion. Extra depth and maybe more dime personnel to kind of handle all this. DeMarco Jackson's also in for TJ Edwards this week. A little bit more speed in the linebackers, which could help. And then as good as this offense has been, I do want to point out that when they get to the red zone, their numbers drop considerably. You know, they're going to try to hit explosives and try to score before they even get to the red zone. When they get in the red zone, it tightens up a little bit, and that's been the same in a good way for the Bears defense. They might give up a lot of yards, but they tighten it up in the red zone too. So that red zone percentage this week will be huge. And then, of course, this is where the weather comes in and the crowd. It's going to be cold. That's got to be worth some points in this game and help the Bears defense against the Rams. At least slow down this offense. It's harder to catch the ball. It's harder to throw the ball in the wind. Does Stafford get away with as many of those no-look passes he likes to do with as windy as it might be? And then the crowd stepping up the same way, having Soldier Field shaking. It obviously rattled the Packers in the fourth quarter offensively last week. See if that same effect is happening to the Rams this week. One big note, Dotson, the right guard, expected to be back this week or possibly back this week. Not for sure, but if they get him back in there, they have really missed him in the run game. So that would be a boost for the Rams if they can get him back in the lineup this week. It's going to be fun. I like the Bears' chances with the weather. You know we're going to have you covered on CHGO all weekend, so lock it in. Let's go.